So Tony starts with the statement: the global north must degrow to change the narrative of the absurd growth-based economic model established through colonization of the global south. Tony, the floor is yours.
Yes, so my starting point of this thesis statement, is that in this world like today where we live, we would see a lot of the economic policies, what gets prescribed by global institutions follows a certain model that was established through the early industrialized nations, and that model is used as a standard, and all other countries are supposed to follow in their footsteps. Every other countries are supposed to do what the early industrialized countries did, and that's considered as to be the right way and of development, and that development model is prescribed, or all other policies, every other discussion is centered around that. So those of you are already maybe in the development sector or have encountered development economics would see how this discussion has shaped, and until today is shaping the majority of all discussions. So, and the problem there is that it is. I mean, I would say, of course, from my and you would see also if you look into the history, we would see there is an intentional bias towards making certain things invisible, and make certain parts from this narrative not present, or make it completely invisible. So the main point is that the early industrialized nation, the way the industrial revolution started, it does not take into account, or it's emphasized enough how this whole primitive capital accumulation was at the cost of all other countries, all other different continents, colonization and oppression of these different parts of the world. So if we don't take that into consideration and then start saying every other countries now must follow this footstep, it's fundamentally wrong. And no matter if we don't first acknowledge how this this accumulation was possible, it's then, of course, we would see, and there are many examples, like there's already existing work that shows how England itself used to protect their country. So it was not a free market. Like when England started at the beginning of the years, they had differentiated tariffs. They created different rules to protect their home economies, and had different rules for when they were going abroad. But if we look into what IMF, World Bank now suggest for a lot of small countries, it's and not allow governments any space to protect their local markets, to not support their local producers. So we would see how there are so many double standards, and these are established. This is not, I'm not saying it the first time. There are many big economists who have said that. There are Ha-Joon Chang, like there is a lot of, and even Stiglitz today. So we would see this discussion is not new. This discussion is not something unknown or something, but the point is what we need to change. Like, so what I maybe in this discussion new is that, so if this whole this linear path of modernization is wrong, how do we then change this narrative, and what should the other countries, because it's not possible for them to really follow that growth pattern and model. That means that, first of all, to acknowledge that this story, this narrative is wrong. And second of all, then start saying it clear and loud that then this whole developed lifestyle is supported by underdevelopment and oppression of other parts. And then when we acknowledge them, that would mean that we need to then give away space. Then we need to reduce this big, large economic, the space that this is taking, and then only allow what you've heard already, Rajeshwari was saying, that there are alternatives on the ground. There are a different way of organizing. It's not only about economics, but also social, like about democracies, like governance, not democracy, but it's a different, there are alternatives of governance that exist. But unless we start shrinking this whole one single narrative, this hegemonic dominance of the early industrialized economies and nation, it won't be possible for all these other alternatives to grow and flourish. And fundamentally, degrowth would be the way that would be more, it has to be decolonial, it has to be taking consideration into the historical justice and also all other social justice issues. And only through a systematic policy change at the early industrialized nation level, where the center of the earth starts shrinking, then the peripheries would be able to flourish and then we would all reach where we all could live, coexist in a nice way, and give space for nature as well. So that is my thesis, and I think my time is up.